Hi, I'm Jessica Eaves Mathews. A lot of founders think about trademarks as something that you deal with just once. You pick a name, you register it with the USPTO, you move on. But that's not how trademarks work in a growing business. As your company evolves, your brand starts showing up in new places, new markets, and new contexts, often without you ever making a conscious decision to expand. And that's where legal risk quietly creeps in. Today, I want to talk about how founders can grow their brands without legal regrets, why trademark strategy has to evolve as your business grows, and how many founders end up with international trademark issues without even realizing it. Let's start with one of the biggest misconceptions that I see. Many founders think international trademark issues only come up if they deliberately expand overseas, opening offices, hiring teams, or launching a country-specific website. But in reality, many founders create international exposure simply by running a website. If your website accepts orders from outside the US, ships internationally, allows international subscriptions, or even actively markets on social media to a global audience, you may already be operating internationally from a trademark perspective. And trademark rights are territorial. A US trademark registration protects you in the United States. It does not automatically protect you anywhere else. Here's a real-world example. I've seen founders based entirely in the US sell products to their own Shopify site. They never advertised internationally, but the site allowed shipping to Canada and to the UK. A company in the UK already owned the trademark rights to a very similar name in that same product category. The result? The US founder received a demand to stop selling in the UK, even though they never intended to expand there. From the founder's perspective, they were just running a website. From a trademark perspective, they were operating in another country without protection. And it doesn't stop there. I've also seen founders lose access to marketplaces in certain countries because their brand name conflicted with an existing local trademark. The platform didn't care that the founder was based in the US or that they didn't mean to expand internationally. Trademark law generally does not look at intent, it looks at use of the mark. Now let's flip the situation. Another very common issue is when someone else registers your brand name overseas before you do. That happens a lot in countries like China, where trademark rights are largely based on registration, meaning who registers it first, rather than use. I've worked with founders who built strong US brands, started manufacturing overseas, and only later discovered that someone else had already registered their brand name in China. Once that happens, several things can go wrong. You may not be able to manufacture goods under your own brand name in that country. Your products may actually be blocked from export, and you may have to buy back your own trademark, often at a very high price. And in the meantime, counterfeiters may be using that registration to legitimize fake products. This is where international trademark issues and counterfeiting collide. If counterfeit goods are being manufactured overseas and you don't own trademark rights in that country, your ability to stop them at the source is extremely limited. You may be able to fight counterfeit goods at the US border using customs and border protection, but if you don't control the trademark rights where the goods are made, the problem will keep regenerating. I've also seen founders run into trouble in the EU. The European Union treats trademarks differently than the US. A single EU trademark can cover many countries, but it can also be challenged if it's not used properly. I've seen founders launch marketing campaigns that reach European customers only to find that someone already owns a similar EU trademark and claims infringement based on online advertising alone. Again, no office overseas, no employees overseas, just a website and digital marketing. That's why international exposure happens earlier than most founders expect. Now, let's bring this back to growth and expansion. As your business grows, you may add new products or services under the same brand name, but trademark registrations only protect what they specifically cover, meaning what you put in your trademark application as your goods and services. If you expand into a new product category where someone already owns the rights to that name or a similar name, whether in the US or abroad, you can trigger infringement issues even if your original brand was perfectly safe. And here's another risk founders don't anticipate: dilution. Using the same brand name across too many unrelated products or services can weaken the distinctiveness of your trademark. That makes enforcement harder and can reduce the long-term value of your brand. This is where founders often say, "I wish I had thought about this sooner." The good news is that most of these problems are avoidable. A trademark lawyer helps founders map where their brand is showing up now and where it's likely to show up next, domestically and internationally. That includes questions like, does your website create international trademark exposure? Are there countries where your brand is especially vulnerable? Should you file internationally now or wait? And if you wait, what's the risk? And how does international protection help prevent counterfeiting at the source? I've worked with founders who avoided forced rebrands and international disputes simply by targeted trademark filings early. I've also seen founders lose markets they wanted to expand into because someone else got there first. The difference wasn't budget, it was planning. Here are the questions founders should be asking as they grow. Number 1, is my website already creating international trademark exposure? Number 2, could someone register my brand abroad before I do? Number 3, am I at risk of infringing someone else's rights without realizing it? Number 4, how would counterfeiting change if my brand grows internationally? And 5, how does my trademark strategy match where my business is actually going? These are not questions that you want to answer after receiving a demand letter, a platform takedown, or a customs seizure notice. Trademark strategy is part of growth strategy. If you're scaling, launching new products or services, or selling online in ways that reach beyond the US, this is the right moment now to review your trademark portfolio with that growth in mind. If you're listening to this and thinking our business has grown, but our trademark strategy hasn't, that's an important signal. This is exactly the kind of conversation that works best before there's a problem. If you want help evaluating how your growth, including online and international sales, affects your trademark rights and risk, that's something I help founders with every day. Protecting your brand isn't about slowing down expansion. It's about making sure growth doesn't cost you your name. If you're concerned about these issues, just set up a call and we can work together so that you have a well-designed strategy for protecting your brand, no matter where you operate or where you plan to expand to.